And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Pug Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, hello and welcome to the Weighing In podcast. We just had UFC 314. There's so many things to talk about with that show, and there's so many things going on in the news. My man is ready to get busy. I know he's got this idea that he knows what he's talking about when a fight should be stopped. We're going to go over that stuff because he has no idea. He has no idea, but it's all right. That's why I love talking to him.
I love that you were on Twitter noticing that I said I was going to just rip you a new one because you're going to be wrong.
Dude, my phone was going brr, brr,
was
brr, brr.
awesome.
And I'm like, I go, oh, okay.
So, overall, though, John,
you're going to die on that hill. I like that. That was a good comment.
Right?
That was a good comment.
I'm pretty much, I'm about to right now. I think I'm about to die on that hill. Bottom line is, man, the fights were great tonight. I thought there was some fantastic fight, especially earlier in the prelims. Some of the early prelims were pretty damn good.
Damn good.
I had a good night of watching the fights. I watched from beginning to end. Normally, I miss the first two or three. I don't know what it is. Do they hide the first two or three sometimes?
Sometimes it's like hard to get the early prelims when they have
early, but they're not available on there. They're available like either on some other
Fight Pass.
Yeah, and I don't have Fight Pass.
Yeah, I just hate jumping back and forth. It's a pain in the ass.
No, I'm too cheap to do Fight Pass, bro. It's just not happening. Oh man. Bottom line is, man, the fight card lived up to the hype. I thought it was a fantastic card. There was some fun fights to watch back and forth, and man, I mean. There's a lot to unwrap because I had a lot to say on Tuesday, and most people are gonna, obviously they were gonna try to give me. I read the comments, man, and you know what?
Read comments.
I did, of course I did. Now you know what? What the great part is, John, is I love when you can go back and I can get the receipts because I got them.
Got
them, boy. Woo!
You got them for what?
People were just like, man, what I said about Dom Reyes. And they were like, oh, he's washed. He's this. They're like, he's going to get destroyed. I wasn't giving the other guy any credit.
That was one of the best bets I thought there was. He was the underdog.
And that's what we talked about. No, he's on the rise. So he's on his way back. His size, all that stuff. We'll get into that fight. But I just wanted to point out the fact that
was one you were right about.
Was one. And then,
okay.
And all
was there others?
And of course there was hate. Of course. A lot of people have a lot to say to me. But look, this is what I want to make sure. Like everyone knows, I've made no qualms about the fact that Chandler and I do not like each other. We don't like each other. Hate's a strong word. We don't like each other. Okay, that's bottom line. And I'm going to die on that hill. I don't give a shit what people think about it. But in no way what I said the other day did it have any impact on how I feel about where he was headed. And we'll talk about that fight as we get into it.
Well, you thought he was going to win.
I mean, I had moments where I was like, I talked about him. You and I were texting back and forth, and I was like, man, Patty going 5 kind of scares me. Like we've seen him.
But what did I tell you?
But how much weight does he cut? That's the thing that scared me about Patty is he cut so much.
He looked good.
Weight. He did. He looked fantastic.
He looked
fantastic. Good. But anyways, let's go ahead and let's just start off. We're going to jump right into the card. There's a lot to talk and unwrap about this stuff, and I got my receipts to make fun of everybody afterwards. And it's going to be fun, man. We're going to have a great time.
My farm needs the earth, the air, and the water. I get my energy going on Element Electrolyte Drink Mix. Clean, good-tasting energy that feeds me like I feed my plants and animals. And after a long day on the tractor, when it's time to shoot the podcast, I drink Element so that I can stay energized and stay salty. Let's get it on.
But let's go ahead and jump right into the main event. The main event, obviously, Volkanovski and Diego Lopes.
It was you got to give it up for Alexander Volkanovski coming back over 35, winning the championship again is not something that's been easy for anyone to do, and he went out and he did it. I had him winning 48-47.
Okay.
The fact that they, I know Rogan and DC thought that Volk won the second round. No.
Yeah.
Okay, a push on someone pushing them back into the cage and someone getting knocked on their ass are two completely different things. So, look, I thought the first round was easy. Obviously, Alexander Volkanovski won it. The second one, he was winning it until he got knocked on his ass, and he loses that round. Third round, he comes back, he wins that round. Fourth round, you got to go with Diego Lopes. So it came down to the fifth round, and I thought that Volkanovski won the fifth round pretty clearly. In that he just landed volume, and Diego was trying to land big shots, but he was not. He was missing a lot. Good effort by both. I thought that they both, went out there and gave it everything they had. I thought that overall, when you're taking a look at it, you could see the difference. And this is when we talk about experience. All of those big fights that Volkanovski has had paid off for him as far as fighting smart in this fight. He fought really smart throughout a lot of it. There was sometimes he made mistakes, but that's just fighting. That's what's going to happen. Diego ended up trying to look for the home run more than he should have. He should have just kept that jab, popping it on him, and forcing him back like he finally was doing in those third, fourth, fifth rounds. He was forcing Volkanovski off of his back foot, which was what he should have done from the beginning. But it's not easy to do at the very beginning of the fight. So I thought overall, very entertaining fight. I saw some people complaining. I'm like, what do you want from guys?
No.
They both went out there. They both fought their ass off. I thought the right guy won in Alexander Volkanovski. I didn't have it 49-46. I had it 48-47. But, right guy won.
I had it 2-2. I had it 2-2 going into the fifth.
Okay.
And
You were the same as me.
Yeah, same. And I thought round one obviously was very clear Volk. Round two I thought was clear. I mean, apparently it wasn't to some people. Round two was for Diego Lopes. But look, we also have said though too, refs sometimes or judges sometimes are not in the right position to see if it was a punch that landed or if he was off balance. And
true.
So it could have went that way. I understand.
Absolutely.
I understand with a commentator. I understand like even people on Twitter, because I was going back and forth with people about it, and they thought that Volk was ahead 3-0. I didn't think so. I thought it was 2-2 going into the fifth, and Volk clearly I think won the third. I think if you guys have not seen the one loss that Patchy Mix has, the Patchy Mix and Juan Archuleta fight, this fight reminded me a lot of that.
Very similar.
Because you had moments where Patchy was like doing what Diego was doing, like, come on, let's fight. Let's do this. Like coming in just.
That looks good, but it doesn't do anything.
But it doesn't do anything. But that's the frustration, I think, speaking out. Like John, I think you can say that that's probably the frustration that is coming out. It's like,
it's also the experience of Alexander Volkanovski not to play into it.
Absolutely. I
thought it was what you're doing.
This was a fantastic fight. They both had their moments. It was very clear that Diego was looking for the knockout. He was pushing. He's got a beard on him, man.
Boy, he does.
It's nice to be young and have a chin. You know what I mean? Like
he took some big shots throughout it. You looked and you went, "Damn, that was a solid shot." And he just
not even wobbled yet.
No, he just walked right through it.
That's why at the end I was kind of wondering. I'm like, quit doing this and just go ahead and throw. If you're going to take the shots, go ahead and throw. Because right now you need to win this round by dropping him at the end. Because it was good enough. Had he wobbled him a little bit or put him off balance enough to make it look like he would wobble him, I could have seen him winning that round. Because it wasn't a lot of high impact.
He could have stole it.
He could have stole it in that last 20 seconds.
Wasn't there.
It just wasn't there. Like Volk. I mean, I got to be honest, man. And I said this the other day. I took Lopes on the dog.
I took Lopes.
I took Lopes on the dog pick, and I thought for sure he was going to be able to push him. The way I took it was this. I said, look, there's ways for this to happen. Obviously, I'm talking about if I hedge my bet, which I didn't hedge my bet. As I said, I thought Diego Lopes was going to win in the first 3 rounds.
Well, I said Diego should win. If he's going to win, he's going to win in the first couple rounds, and if it goes the distance, Volkanovski's going to win it. Yeah,
I thought Volk had to win it by the distance. I didn't think there was any way that Volk could beat him. Like not like finish him,
get him out of there,
TKO or submission. Or
there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, there's going to be a finish," and I was like, "I don't really see it."
I didn't see that either.
I'm not. If there was a finish, I thought it was going to be Diego getting the finish against Volkanovski. I didn't see I saw Volkanovski definitely being able to win a decision, but not getting a finish.
Yeah, I mean, Diego looked good. He proved a lot of people. He proved even myself. He proved me wrong. Like saying, I thought he would start to slow down and fatigue in the rounds 3 and 4 and 5. He fought championship rounds. He looked good.
And fought him well.
He fought him well. Just a little bit more output. less hesitation. But John, that could have just been the moment. Young kid still thinking to himself, like, man, I'm fighting for the world title right now.
You're looking for that, that perfect moment. Perfect moments don't usually come about.
Not against world-class guys.
No. And so you got to make the moment. Mm-hmm. And that's just the difference between winning and losing this fight.
Yeah. No, I
Volkanovski
agree,
made those moments where Diego really couldn't.
Yeah. The thing is, though, John, I know that I had talked about, like, hey, after 2 knockouts, the way he was knocked out, Volkanovski. But he also showed tonight, I know Diego Lopes has got power, but he showed tonight, though, too. I wouldn't say he's getting chinny. I'm just simply saying that Diego's got power, but Volk's got to he's got to shape his career.
Volk cannot take the damage that he once took.
Yeah. And so
he's got to change his style a little bit. I think he is, though. But he is changing it.
John, he can wrestle. He can wrestle.
He can, but he loves doing that dip with his head, and he's gonna get caught. People are gonna watch him, and he keeps doing that same. He'll dip and start throwing some looping shots to get himself out of a situation. And it's like, those are the moments you look at and you go,
yeah,
because he can't take the same shots that he once took.
No, I agree.
And that's hard. It's hard to say when you're talking about someone who's that freaking good still.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's fantastic. He's fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Michael Chandler, Paddy Pimblett fight.
Okay, this is the one that you thought Chandler was going to win. And I went, you crazy.
So here's the thing. So what I said, and this is what's great about this thing is I can say whatever I want on the podcast on midweek show. And I exposed a lot of what we saw tonight was Michael Chandler. He's got 1 foot out the door. This is not bagging on him in terms of I don't like him. This is the reality is he is done. He is washed. He is somebody that he's literally made so much money. He's got 1 foot out the door. And everything I said, we saw tonight. I saw that in the Charles Oliveira fight, and I pointed that out. I was very clear. The Michael Chandler that we knew that was very comfortable with constantly fighting hands, constantly trying to spit inside the body lock, all of those things we had seen multiple times against world-class fighters of him doing that. And in this situation, literally settling on the bottom, literally just being comfortable, just hanging out on his hands and knees, just with no wrist control, just kind of hanging there and letting himself get hit. Those are the things that when I'm watching as a fighter, he's checked out. There's no push. You can train as hard as you want. You can look as ripped and shredded as you want.
Shrimp
does
does
not help your mental when you're inside that cage. Mentally it makes you feel like I've got this. I did all the hard work. I'm ready to go. But when you get out there, it's not there. And I didn't people were going to say, I was bagging on him. No, I was pointing out the obvious. And John, you were texting me and said, he just doesn't want it anymore. And I go, yeah, that's what my point was on Tuesday. I thought, honestly, because Paddy cut so much weight, I go, look, if this fight gets into round 3, 4, and 5, I could see Chandler start trying to really kind of impose his will. And also, I was like, the way that Chandler dips and comes over the top and the way that Paddy keeps his chin straight up, I was freaking out that first 2 rounds, actually. I was like, geez, man. This is going to be brutal if he catches him with a big shot. But Michael has slowed down. There's not 1 or 2. It's just 1 or 2 punches, I should say. And it's not 3s and 4s, John. And look, if I'm going to place this bet, I placed it on Chandler to go, hey, I thought for sure after rounds, he'd catch him either early with a big shot because the chin in the air, or as the fight went on, fighting for the last 12, 13 years, 5-round fights, he would start to settle in and take a step back, bounce around, put more pressure. It's not in him anymore. There's no drive, John. You can look the part, you can train as hard as you want in the gym, but did you see the way he was in the corner with Henry Hooft? Henry's talking to him. He had no reaction, John. There was nothing there. When your fighter has nothing
how many times have I talked about when you see a fighter that doesn't look at his trainer, doesn't look him in the eyes, doesn't pay attention to when the words are coming out of their mouth and is looking at other things, doing it, they're checking out. They're figuring out a way to get out of the fight. And that's what you saw. And it's not no disrespect at all. Michael Chandler is a hell of a fighter. But even in the first round, there was a moment where you could look at him in that fight and he was like, uh-oh, damn, it's happening again. And, you're sitting there, saying the whole thing about, you were worried about with Patty just chinning up in the air. There wasn't a moment, and I'm being honest when I say it, that I was looking going, oh, Chandler has him in trouble. Even when Chandler was on top of him, he's just wrestling. I mean, and at least I was at least he's wrestling. That's a smart move. Not the best with the guy you're doing it with, because he's pretty goddamn slick off the ground, but okay, at least you're trying to go back to what is that base that made you the fighter that you were. But he went straight back to being the guy that bounced in and out, straight ahead, straight back, linear movement. He's an easy target. And Patty, I thought, for the most part, did a fantastic job of just waiting, sitting there, putting steps on, gauging the distance, waiting for him to get within range, and bap, bap, he would hit him. Bip, 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 with the jab, would hit him. Kicks, boom. He just was systematically breaking him down. And then when he got the opportunity to open it up a little bit, especially on the ground, Patty did some damage.
Yeah.
Patty opened up. The elbows were beautiful.
The new change of the rules, the 12-6 elbows is money. Tonight was the first night that I saw in several fights that they were being used effectively.
Yeah.
And to the point where, like, man, this was making, and like you've said many a times, if you want to keep fighting, just throw punches. If you want the ref to stop it, throw elbows.
There you go.
And that's what we saw tonight. A lot of the 12-6 elbows, and whether they were getting through or not, was leading to some horrible stoppages. But we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that.
But it just came down to, I saw effectively tonight the 12-6 elbows being used and used wonderfully. I thought they were amazing. It changed the dynamic of the fight. It made it look nasty. Like, oh man, that looks horrible. Whether they landed clean or not, it still just looks bad. On top of that. But I thought it was very effective the way that Patty was landing those 12-6 on Chandler.
Then let's start from this one, because this one was stopped. Was this a good stoppage?
Oh, absolutely.
Patty, absolutely beautiful stoppage by Kerry Hadley.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, look, the groundwork's been laid for Michael Chandler. We know how good he is. We know his history. We know he can take damage. We know, like, he's getting older. That's very. I'm not gonna bag on him and shit on him. I had a lot to say about him on Tuesday. The bottom line is everything I said was true. It's factual. Like, 1 foot out the door. Fighters, we see it in each other. We just, people don't talk about it because it's kind of a dick move to do. Then maybe that's where I got into, we don't like each other, and I allowed myself to say that shit. Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you guys. I'm very, like, this is the way I've always been. You don't think I got the nickname The Punk for a reason? Like, it's for a reason. I mean, there was a lot of reasons, but this is one of them. Like, I'll just speak what's on my mind. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but that's the reality of it. No different than when Rogan said something to Brendan Schaub about him not being an elite fighter. We're having that conversation. I've had these same conversations with some of my closest friends at AK. Closest friends. It's time for you to retire. It's time, or like, hey, you're being lazy. You're not working on this. I mean, that's what led to me getting into fisticuffs with Mike Kyle, with Phil Baroni. Phil Baroni fucking lived with me when I got into fisticuffs. We both had to ride home in the same car fucking after we started throwing down. Things like that.
So what would your advice to Michael Chandler be?
You have a beautiful family.
Yep.
You have lots of money.
Yep.
You live in Nashville. No income tax.
Great life. Still got a lot of sponsors.
Right off into the sunset. You probably still have a lot of sponsors. Whatever it is, I think, look, you got 2 young kids. Enjoy them.
3.
3. Okay. No, 2. The other one, with the new one that was born, it was his nieces.
Oh, okay.
I thought so too. I thought his wife had a baby. No, it looked like it was his nephew, I think, niece or nephew that was born. I can't remember. Yeah, but no, I thought it was too, because she was wearing like scrubs. But then someone sent me that it was like sister-in-law or something, or sister.
Okay,
well, had one.
It's all good.
But good on it. Like, no matter how I feel about him, and I know I say it, but like, I'm not bagging on him. I thought, look, it was a tough fight. He's where I'm at when I fought Tony. He's where I was at when I fought Tony, and now he's in that position against someone like Patty. Patty's on his rise, and Patty looked good tonight. Like I said, all the things that scared me about Patty was the chin in the air, the amount of weight he cuts because he balloons up so much on the off.
Boy, did he not look bigger by far?
He looked huge.
I mean, it was like you looked and you went, yeah, because let's be honest, Chandler is a specimen when it comes to the amount of muscle he carries and everything he's put together. He's solid. He looks small. compared to Patty.
Well, Johnny's 5'2".
He's not 5'2".
5'2".
Okay.
5'2.5". I look, but you asked me. Let me ask you: where does Chandler go from here? And then, what do you think should be next for Patty?
I'm being honest with Michael Chandler. It's time to pull the plug, and that's okay. That's everybody is going to come to this moment. If you're a fighter, if you're an official, it's going to come to that moment, and it's better for you to be the one that's in control of that moment and making the decisions than it is for the promoter to tell you, yeah, we're done with you. That one's going to hurt. It's always good when you can sit there and say, man, you know what? I've given it everything I have. And obviously at this point, I don't want to be fighting in the prelims. I don't want to be fighting the younger guys and letting them try to get a name off of me. It's time for me to go help other people or find another career or whatever it is you're going to do. And that would be my suggestion to Michael at this point, because you can absolutely, like, if I showed you Michael Chandler, 5 years ago, he's a different fighter than the Michael Chandler that we saw tonight. Yeah. And that's just time. That's just what happens with fighting and age and, damage. And he's had some damage in this sport and it catches up to you. And now he's at that point. So that's what I would like to see. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to have to figure it out. But for Paddy Pimblett, he was calling out some big names there. He's calling out, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira. I honestly, Arman Tsarukyan would be the one that I would want to put Paddy against. I know you're looking and you're saying, well, but you can see him going up against Charles. To me, that's a fight that's going to be difficult because Charles matches him well everywhere. Mm-hmm. And Dustin Poirier, same thing, matches him well everywhere. So Gaethje's going to be where it's going to be, can Justin keep it on the feet and outsling him, or does Paddy get him to the ground and submit him? So that's the real question there. But if you look and say, look, I want people that are going to be champions. He's still young, and I want him to fight. If he's going to lose to somebody, lose to the guy that I'm then going to put in the championship role, as the challenger, Tsarukyan. I know they're mad with Tsarukyan, but they'll get past it. And Paddy against Tsarukyan would be a hell of a fight.
You're ready to jump him all the way to number one?
Yeah. If you're going to say, is Tsarukyan number one? He is on the
rankings.
The other guy that I honestly think would be a good matchup with him would be Gamrot. I think Gamrot would be a difficult fight for him, though. And I'm not sure that I want him to lose to Gamrot. So
but like they're basically the same, Gamrot and Tsarukyan.
Yeah, Tsarukyan's, again, he's younger. He's the future, and he is the future, no matter what you want to say. Like he's that skilled, and he's that young. He's I want to say he's 4 or 5 years younger than Paddy. So he's the guy you got to look and say who's going to be the one that's going to be pressing that edge on capturing the belt or holding the belt. You got to say that he's one of them.
Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't want him to fight Gamrot. That'd be going backwards. You just beat Michael Chandler. I understand where you're at on that, though. Potentially, I know going backwards would also be, or not really, fighting someone like a Dan Hooker would be fun.
Yeah, but doesn't make sense. I like the fight, but it doesn't make sense if you're Paddy.
Why? Dan's ranked higher than him.
Not anymore.
Oh, absolutely is. Chandler's number 7. Hooker's number 6.
Hooker's number 6.
Yeah.
I bet Paddy is going to be somewhere right in that 5-6 spot.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. You have him fight the guy that's right there. I get what you're saying. I do understand. Like the Armand thing, I think that all comes down to how mad are they at Armand.
That's exactly it.
That's really what it comes down to.
It really does.
So, and then what about and then where does Chandler's just done? You're ready to wrap that up.
There comes a point.
Yeah.
What's better? Is it better to do something like, Tony Ferguson, who had his moment where, he was like Paddy or he was like Chandler and just coming up and beating all these people. And then all of a sudden it starts to leave, but I'm going to have another fight. I'm going to have another fight. I'm going to have another fight.
He called Dana and tried to come back.
I know.
Just a couple days ago.
And it's like, you got to understand, there comes a time you've got to put that car away. It's done. It's not going to win the race. And at this point, Michael Chandler's there unless he wants to fight on prelims.
I think he'll still be on the main card.
Okay.
I think one more. I think he'll still be on the main card, probably one more. But then here, like, let me give you some run throughs. Like, who you gonna have him fight? Fazeev, not a good fight for him. Saint Denis, not a good fight for him. Maybe Grant Dawson, but Grant Dawson's huge.
Still not a good fight for him.
Still not a good fight for him. Bahamondes, not a good fight for him.
Not a fight good for him.
And if I went up, it'd be like Beneil Dariush, Moicano. I mean, maybe Dariush, but I don't think so either.
Not anymore.
No. Anyways, look, guys can say what you want. Look, my opinion was an honest opinion. Sure, maybe it came across a little sarcastic and and chirpy, but that's just the way it was. Reality is we see these things in other fighters. We see when it's almost time, and I've already lived through that experience. So I understood with me, it was time. And I went through the same battle that he was going through in terms of, hey, do you want to be on the prelims? If you're not fighting for a title, you've kind of done so much. You know what I mean? Like, you've been a multiple time Bellator champion. You had a run in the UFC. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And for me, it was like, look, nah. I mean, in my 22 years, I think out of 16 or 17 of the years, or 15 or 16 of the years, I was ranked in the top 10. With Chandler, and that was from all of the websites. Not just whatever organization I was in. So it just comes down. Chandler has been kind of always talked about in that mix because of the Eddie Alvarez fights, then Eddie coming over and winning his fight or losing his first fight in UFC, but then going on to win the title, and then obviously losing to Conor. But yeah, I think that you got to make those choices when you've done everything. The money he's getting paid though, John, is a lot. So I can see him doing one more, maybe. The thing with him is he likes to train, but then liking to train though, and being able to mentally get yourself up for stuff after you've done so much, it's very difficult.
Josh, look, as a UFC fighter, he's 2-5.
Yeah. Okay.
He won his very first fight against Hooker. It was an impressive win. He looked great. And from that point, he's had one win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That fight with Hooker was back in 2021. He had the one with Charles Oliveira at the same, in the same year. It was later on in in the summertime. I can't remember when, but that's 2021. It's 2025.
Yeah.
You've had one win since 2021. That's not looking great.
Yeah, I got all these receipts. I was going to read through them, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't.
Maybe you should.
Look, there's things that I will admit. There's things that I'm extremely biased when I talk about the guys from AKA.
Sure.
And that's not going to change. So if you guys are coming here for unbiased opinions on AKA guys, you're not going to get it, dude. Like, it's just what's
probably,
you're not, there's probably not. It's not going to happen. All right. And you guys should just expect that. In terms of the Chandler talk, just because you guys know I don't like him doesn't mean that I'm not being truthful, and I'm giving you guys my honest opinion.
I like Michael Chandler. I've told you that. I've told everyone that.
And that's why you and I aren't friends.
It's okay. But I do like Michael Chandler. I'm not saying he's perfect. He's not, but I like him, and I want to see only the best for him. But I'm being honest when I say I've seen Michael Chandler when he was at his best. Mm-hmm. And he was a different fighter back then than he is now, and there comes that point for everybody. And you got to be smart enough to say, I'd rather be the one that's making the decision than someone making it for me.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yair Rodríguez versus Patricio Pitbull.
But I'm being honest. I thought Yair looked really sharp. He looked really good with his striking and everything. There was this whole fight comes down to this. Look, if you're Patricio Pitbull and you're coming into the UFC and you're fighting Yair, you have got to throw. You have got to have output. You got to have volume going his way. And he didn't. And that was the biggest. He was looking for the big shots. He landed a couple of good shots. It's not that he didn't, but Yair landed some good shots himself. And even when Yair is getting blocked, the kicks that he's throwing, they're looking good, even though it's hitting the arm and it shouldn't really count, but it does because they hear it and they'll look and say, I think it touched a little bit of the body. They're going to give it credit. And, he just fought a smarter fight than Patricio. And it was, Patricio was in that position where, again, first time in the UFC, he looked calm.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he didn't. Didn't look like he really got out of breath in any point or, anything like that. And part of it was he didn't do enough to put himself in that position to be out of breath. There was a couple times he started to press on him hard, but he backed off of it, pretty quick. And he just didn't do enough to win that fight.
So I'm going to go back on something I said on Tuesday because we had this conversation about Aaron Pico being able to fight Evloev, as everyone keeps pointing out the way that I was saying Evloev, and everyone's like, no, it's Evloev. So I'll fix it for you guys. Okay, thanks for the what do they when they write it out?
Thank you for the pronunciation.
Yeah, what is it called? Phonetically. They write it out phonetically. Someone did it a couple times in there. And I was like, okay, so now I remember it.
So they just went EVO
LO. Ev, E-V, and then L-O, and then whatever.
E-V, L-O, E-V.
Anyways, it was, and I said, hey, Pico should fight Evloev. And then they were like, and people were like, hey, bagging on me in the comments. You were always saying, he needs one more fight before he gets this and that. I'm like, look, stylistically, I thought, because everyone also thought that Pico couldn't wrestle. People in the comments are like, what are you talking about? Evloev's going to out wrestle Pico and he's going to do this. And I'm like, gosh, guys.
Oh my
Look,
God.
I also said it'll be a good wrestling match. Pico may get taken down, but I think also too, he'll be able to take down Evloev. Yeah. Bottom line is tonight was a reminder that when it's your first fight in the UFC, you need to get a fight under your belt. Yair to me was the worst matchup for Patricio for his first fight into the UFC. But I just know Patricio. He wants to fight the best guys, and he wants to prove that he can be there. He's always been that way. Conversations with him, talking with him, training with him, all of those things. I know exactly how he is. And so when they called and said Dana said he called him, and he said, okay, I'll fight whoever. And they gave him the worst matchup you could possibly give him. The speed, the kicks, those type of things, longer, taller, all of those things he's very dangerous. That's no excuse, though. You've got, like you said, he's got to throw. You cannot win a fight unless you throw. But I also want to go back and be like, hey, towards the end in Bellator, it was very clear that they were afraid of him. Like, he didn't have to be super aggressive. He didn't have to, because he knew that when they did step in, he was a little bit faster. He had power that they had to respect. And you saw it tonight a little bit with Yair Rodríguez, too. Anytime it got into boxing range, Yair was like, I got to get out of here, and he wanted to stay in the kicking range, which was very smart on his part. Very smart. Right. I was surprised that Patricio didn't make adjustments, and because he was only throwing ones, twos, no more than threes. The way you beat Yair is by throwing threes and fours. That's how you beat him. And that's how Volk beat him. That's how other guys have been able to beat him before in the past. You gotta swarm him and be able to hit him with some shots, to make him respect you, and then he'll start to kind of wilt a little bit and fall back a little bit. I'm not saying you're going to stop him. I'm simply saying that's how you start to get to him. Korean Zombie was not having his way with him, but was winning on all the cards.
That was a great fight.
It was, but Zombie was up.
Zombie was up
3 or 4 rounds. He was up that fight.
He was up.
But yeah,
he was up until there was 5 seconds left.
Yeah. And so Patricio, to me, there's guys for him still to fight. But this was a good eye-opening experience for me when I was thinking about how we talked about Pico last week, and I was like, yeah, give him this fight. And then I thought back too. Eddie Alvarez lost his first fight against Cowboy Cerrone in the UFC. And Eddie's fucking fantastic. Then he went on to be champion. Mm-hmm. Quentin Jackson, I think he lost his first fight in the UFC. No. Who did he?
His first fight was Marvin Eastman.
That's right. So he beat Marvin, but he didn't look great in that fight.
No,
he didn't look great in that fight. So my point is that when you got guys that come in from other organizations, we've seen it too, also from UFC to Bellator, and we've seen it sometimes. Look at the guys that all left UFC and went to PFL. Majority of them all lost, and it's just one of those things where that first fight in a new organization doesn't feel like home yet. You've got to make those adjustments. You've got to make it feel feel like you belong in there. And so it doesn't matter who you are or what organization you go to. It's never easy. Never easy. I give Patricio a lot of credit. There are fights for him still to be had there. You know, if you want to say Dan Ige would be a great fight. I'd love that fight. I'd love to see the Jose Aldo fight. I'd like to see the Calvin Kattar fight. Those are all fights that I'd love to see. Rob Font is Rob's at 35.
No, different one.
Yeah, Rob's at 35. Sorry, but I'd like to see Calvin Kattar is at 45. Let's see that fight. There's fights, the stand-up banger fights that we can at least get out of this short stint that he's going to have. He's 38 years old. This is the short stint he's going to have there. Let's get the best fights out of him as we can. The Yair fight to me was probably the worst matchup he could have gotten. And it was. It's the reach, the speed, the kicking. Those are the things that I thought were going to give him a hard time. Just the things that Yair can pull out of his ass is just fucking spectacular. No one ever doubts his ability, man. He's awesome when it comes to like what he can do inside that cage.
He's incredibly talented.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his skill set is wickedly good. You know, the way he throws his front leg kick, the way that he sets up the spinning attacks, he doesn't lead with a whole lot of information that he just does things really well.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah. I think you got John Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. John, this turned out to be a fantastic fight, but we were going back and forth over this, and John, I wanted to bet you, but pull a fast one on me, and I saw where you were going with it. Who you got?
Hey, I got to try with you.
Yeah,
you pulled my number on it though. So I was like, damn it. No, this was one of those you looked at, and it was a lot of good buildup on this going in, and a lot of the buildup was, you know, the way they talked about each other, the things that they said. Bryce Mitchell talking about, you know, I put down a lot of dogs and stuff, but it was actually a really good comment because
a little weird though, John. Right?
Like, John Silva's going around barking all the time.
No, but you're trying to you're trying to go fishing with Hitler, and then now you're trying to put down all these dogs. He has the worst sound bites, man.
He does. They're cringeworthy. But you know, it was. I thought when the fight really started, it was evident that, you know, Jean Silva had very little respect for any of the offense of Bryce Mitchell. And so it was like,
Johnny backed himself up to the cage and set his leg out there and tapped it and said, come on, the very first, probably 10 seconds of the fight. Yeah. He's like, yeah, come on, single leg. Yeah. I was like, okay, someone's got a lot of confidence in his takedown defense.
Yeah. But he backed it up. He backed all of it up.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely.
He went out there and he put some good shots on him. He made it dangerous for him multiple times with the one guillotine was tight. Bryce did a great job of working himself through that because it was tight. A lot of pressure on it and stuff, but boy, when he hooked up the ninja choke, it was tight, fast. It was on when he got the tap, and then by the time it was let go, he was out. Kind of cracked me up. I saw Mike Bisping saying he was out with his eyes open. They're always out with their eyes open. What the hell are you talking about?
John, was this an expectation for you to believe that he was this good in the grappling areas and the wrestling takedown defense areas? Because that's all I saw when I was talking about it on Twitter. I go, look, I'm leaning towards Jean Silva because of this, and this, and past stuff. I go, and Bryce, look, we've seen before in the past with the Ilia Topuria fight, when someone puts pressure on him, when somebody stuffs a takedown or two, he starts to look a little bit more tired. His takedowns start to get a little more sloppy.
His takedowns get really sloppy.
And so, and he can be submitted, as we saw. And let's be honest, man, Jean Silva made it look easier than Ilia Topuria did.
He did. I think a lot of things are, you know, just mindset and the way you're looking at things and stuff. I thought Bryce went out there angry a little bit in the beginning. He was trying to throw hard. He was throwing hard kicks and stuff, but you can't fight angry. You got to fight smart.
I disagree with you. I don't think it was angry. I think he was just completely concerned with the speed and almost like the Yair fight with Patricio, not knowing where something's going to come from. So the best thing to do is it's not anger. It's like, I have to get it out there as hard and as fast as I can because I don't want to leave myself out of position. So I got to go there and go back real quick. And it's overly aggressive only based on the fact that you're afraid of getting hit and kicked because you don't know where it's coming from. Is the knee going to hit me coming up the middle? Is the push kick going to hit me coming up the face?
You don't think Bryce had any anger toward Jean Silva? I thought
is Bryce an angry guy?
Just the
Really?
just the fact that he didn't want to touch gloves tells you everything you need to know. He's mad at him.
I don't
He's
know.
angry at him.
Anger.
Look at John Silva had said some stuff about him. He was not happy with him. You know, there was some words exchanged.
They did a great job building up this fight, though, John.
I thought they did. I thought they both did a great job of building the fight up.
I didn't expect John Silva to be as good in the grappling areas that he was. I mean, does this kind of lay to rest, though? Like, are the other guys in the nerd crew, you know, the nerd school, are they all as good in the grappling areas? Because we haven't seen them in the grappling areas.
Yeah, well, we've
Ruffy
seen
and Kyle and
Kai Bahal has shown that he's very good in the grappling arts. You know, and so, you know, Ruffy, we haven't really seen a whole lot with the ground and stuff. He's just very dynamic on the feet, you know, but, and it's the same thing with Pratis. And you can take a look and say, we've seen him on the feet, but we've seen him on the ground. He holds his own. Look, they're well trained. Those guys fight well. They haven't lost, you know, since getting into the UFC. They're all looking good. And this was, in my opinion, this takes Jean Silva, and it puts him in a position where he's either fighting for the title or he's one fight away from getting a title shot, because he's just looked fantastic since coming in.
John, I don't know if you can say this. I feel like I had to say it, and I said it out there on, I said it in a video that I put on Twitter. I said, hey, did Ilia Topuria just flee because these guys are here? I mean, there's guys now in this weight class. I mean, there's plenty of guys for him to fight now. I don't understand the move and the leave. Like you bounced out. Sure, you beat Max and you beat Volk, but you've still got guys there. Evloev, you've got obviously Diego Lopes. You've got Yair could do his thing again. You've got Pico coming in. You've got Patricio is still there. You know what I mean? Like there's guys there. Lerone Murphy. I mean Arnold Allen. Like you've got pretty much the whole 145-pound division is still there.
Yeah.
Jean Silva is way up there now. I mean, he wasn't even in the rankings, right? No, he wasn't even in the rankings, John.
No.
Jeez.
My point.
Jeez, Louise.
He was moving fast.
Yeah. So, I mean, he jumped up to 13 now, but he's going to make his way. He's going to make his way for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I was very impressed with his performance. I thought he did a wonderful job. Everything, the takedown defense, threatening the submission and the chokes, you know, he did everything. And this is what I think if you're someone that's learning how to fight, if you're someone that's in a kickboxing gym, relaxation and having fun is the number one thing. Like John just said, you cannot fight mad. I didn't think Bryce Mitchell was mad. I think he was just scared of getting clipped and coming in. He's been brutally knocked out by Josh Emmett. He's been choked out by Ilia Topuria. Like he's had fights where it just didn't go his way as of recently, but he's also very good at what he does. I said this, I think they're not like being just one dimensional though. It doesn't give you much room for error. You don't have rooms to make mistakes to get yourself out of it. He's stand up. He's game, but not against someone like a John Silva. He was able to work. John Silva was shorter in stature versus Edson Barboza, who's a little bit lengthier. I don't know how much taller he is than John Silva, but John Silva has that Michael Chandler kind of short and stubby look at 5'2". It's kind of like that look. And so he's got strong legs, strong hips, able to keep his back off the fence. I was looking forward to seeing if he could hang on the ground. Shit, he could hang on the ground. And when he, I thought he had that arm and guillotine when he jumped it. I was like, ooh, this looks tight. This looks really tight. And when he lost it, he got right back up to his feet. Yep. I was like, wow, that's impressive. Hello. This is Bryce Mitchell. This isn't like Joe Blow down the road. This is Bryce Mitchell. He just stood right up and got back to his feet and circled off. Very impressive. Very impressive. But John, I'm looking at the 145-pound division. John Silva was going to get right up in there in that mix of, say, 13. Him and Zalal, him and Giga Takadze. You got him and Lerone Murphy would be fun. What do you want to get rid of two of your?
That's okay. So I got two of my hot stars. One that's undefeated. One that's undefeated in my organization. One's undefeated basically overall. It's like, no, I don't want to get rid of them. Yeah. I'll do that later on in a title match.
I honestly believe if they're that high on him, there's two guys for him to fight. You can Yair was saying he gets the next title shot. I'd like to see that fight, but if he is really getting the next title shot with the win over Patricio, then I mean, honestly, I would say let's bump him right up either to Arnold Allen or we put him up to Diego Lopes. Too soon?
Nah, you're going awfully high up there. I would say Aljamain Sterling.
Well, the reason why I'm going up high is because Max is gone and they still have him in the rankings. Brian Ortega's gone. They still have him in the rankings. So realistically, I'm not actually going that high because those guys are gone. So I'm only skipping like 3 guys. I mean, you got Lerone Murphy and then you've got Arnold Allen and then Brian's there and you got Yair and you got Evloev and then you got Diego and then Max is gone. So you've got like 4 guys between basically, in that Arnold Allen area there where you'd have him jump. I don't think you put him against Lerone Murphy only based on the fact you have high expectations for both. You'd like to have that fight happen more at like number 1, number 2, or, for a title or someone coming off a title loss. Let me go ahead and see if cream rises to the top, see which one gets the win to get back to the title. That's what you want to do with those kind of guys. And also, too, they're both fun to watch. So why would I want to ruin them by losing to another stand-up guy if it wasn't higher up in the rankings?
That's true.
The lone wolf in there, though, is that Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen's good all the way around, but he just doesn't get talked about enough anymore.
This is true.
So
he doesn't.
Great win for Volk tonight, but, we're going to see how that all shakes out with Jean Silva making his little bit of run. Would you say that Ilya left?
No.
Because he was afraid?
God, no.
Come on, John. Just say it with me.
Stop. You fucking afraid, please.
None of these fighters are afraid. I love when
if there was
none of them are afraid.
If there was one thing he's maybe afraid of, it's getting back in the sauna to reach 145 pounds.
Well, here's the thing. If he goes up to 55 and he gets smoked by Islam or Arman or whoever, does he come back down?
He's always got that ability, doesn't he?
I mean, it depends on how big he gets.
Well,
that's got to be horrible, man. Get all the way up. And I mean, if you want to know if it's normal or not, go ask Max. He had to do it.
Let's be honest. He ain't going to get smoked. He's good. I mean, you watch Ilya Topuria, I'm not saying he's perfect. He's not perfect, but he's damn good. His stand-up is tight. He throws beautiful combinations. He throws straight punches. His grappling, his wrestling is good. His submission game is good. He's good. You don't take anything away from him. He's that fucking good. Now, can he beat Islam? I don't know. Well, he was on a podcast saying that he was going to not only beat Islam, he was going to ask what's his favorite submission and then submit him in front of Khabib. He will bring him over towards Khabib and submit him with that submission. So that's a bold and cocky statement if ever I heard one. But
he's taking the playbook right out of Connor's playbook. Say what gets the most reaction.
And
what can I do to say the most disrespectful thing that will get the most attention on social media? That's really what it is. I mean, he knows that Khabib's like his big brother, and it's like they kind of,
sure.
You know what I mean? So what can I do to disrespect you in front of your big brother? It's like being disrespected in front of your dad.
But him talking is not. Where's the disrespect?
He's not. Well, first off,
it means nothing.
Let's just be honest. First off, he's not going to beat Islam. That's just. It's just not going to happen, John.
This is that part you were talking about earlier.
This is the part I was talking about. But look, I mean, I haven't been wrong yet. So, I mean, I'm sure it's going to come. It's going to come.
Look, Islam against Topuria, be a fantastic fight.
Yeah, I think I give him a better chance than most people will give him. I do. The boxing can be scary. The boxing can be scary. On top of that, his ability, he is shorter in stature. So like how Islam has to worry about, like with Volk, trying to get the fight to the ground, be able to hold the guys down. Smaller guys are not the easiest guys to hold down. They're like little balls. So when they hit the ground, their knees and elbows touch, they can just stand up. I mean, he's only got to stand up about, 7 inches, that's how tall he is. So once he extends his legs, he's literally like, I don't know, 3 feet, 4 feet. We represent the lollipop kids. The lollipop kids. Anyways, I'm just having some fun with this, guys. Look, Topuria is a stud, absolutely amazing athlete, amazing fighter. Love watching him. Dialed in with the boxing, dialed in with the takedown defense. Love his submission game, all of those things.
Everywhere.
I like to talk shit, like in terms of Jean Silva, new guys that are coming in. Like it's gonna you left the weight class while there's still plenty of talent for you to fight. So I just want to know, if you go up and you lose to Islam, and it's like, and if, let's just say you lose bad, you get submitted in the first round. Like, do you just go back down now to 45? He's like, look, I tried. Wasn't for me?
Nope.
You stay? You stay and take your lumps?
Absolutely.
I mean, because the way I look at with Ilya, right, is Bryce Mitchell was able to take him down. Had a little bit of success in some, but, I get it.
See, you sit there and you say, Bryce Mitchell, anyone can get taken down in a specific moment. Okay, you take a step forward, you throw a punch, you throw a kick at the wrong time, and the guy comes in. Anyone can get taken down.
That's one way of looking at it.
So,
John, let's go ahead. Let's go right into the next fight. What was the
Dominic
next fight?
Reyes against Nikita Krylov. I'll tell you what, Dominic just looked good. He from the very start, he landed that one shot that you saw really stiffened Krylov, and from that point, he just took over in the fight. It's not like it went that long, anyways, but he just was in control. He looked relaxed. He was throwing clean, sharp combinations, and I'm telling you, that counter left that he hit him with, dude, it just put him out. He was out going down.
Yeah.
So beautiful, beautiful performance by Dominic Reyes. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. And I was trying to plead with everybody on the podcast on Tuesday about he's back. I'm excited for him. He's a big body frame. But I'm going to read this to you. Vlad the Pistol 3974. Josh is an idiot saying that Nikita hasn't fought same caliber guys. He's fought against 2 former champs and 1 current champ. He fought Ankh alive, and he lost. He fought Glover Teixeira, and he lost. I don't know who the other champ is that he says he fought. I don't know who it is. No, Jan Blachowicz. Sorry, Jan. And he lost to Jan also. My point is that when you fought them, they weren't where they were at to being the champions. That was 1. And 2 is he fought John Jones, and many thought he won. That doesn't get any higher than that level. Yeah. Doesn't get any higher than that. And not to mention, like, he's just one of those guys. His body style and his frame, how he's got power in his hands, obviously. I'm sorry, but like he's gonna be a problem. He's gonna be a problem for all those guys in that weight class. If he keeps his confidence and he doesn't make mistakes inside the cage, where
that's it.
That was what led him into losing those fights the way he did, was he made mistakes. Chasing after Yuri, getting clipped, you know what I mean? Like things like that, making ill-advised mistakes, doing things that you shouldn't have been doing. Like, look, I rocked you, I hurt you, I shouldn't be running after you and then getting clipped.
Yep.
Those are all things. I think if he fight, I don't want to say he dog walked Yuri, but I think if he fights Yuri, I think he wins, and I would think he makes it look easy. I think he might even be able to get Yuri out of there, John.
Well, look, he's got the talent to get anybody.
Absolutely.
He's that good. Do I think he's going to dog walk him? No. It's going to be a tough fight, but it's a fight he can win. He just has to have what he has now. Mm-hmm. Fighting for him at this point is now fun again. Yeah. Because for a while there, it wasn't fun. You know that.
Yep. You can speak from
it was miserable. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those, I don't understand what's going on. Look, I just talked to you. Joe Stevenson called me the other day and asked me a question. And I remember when Joe first introduced me to Dominic, because he was training him, and he said, John, this guy's going to be a champion. Right. And I go, really? You think so? Right. Because, I respect Joe Stevenson's, his eye for talent and, his ability to pick guys out. And he goes, not a doubt about it. This guy, he's a stand by and watch him. And he was an amateur at the time. And I watched him in the amateur fight. And I went, it's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
That he wasn't obviously world class at that time, but you looked and you went, it's a talented guy, man. And he's
for a big guy. If a guy that can move like that, being that tall and that long and having the power he has. I mean, John, if I'm sitting there watching him going like, man, you move like an 85 pounder or like me, a little bit bigger 70 pounder. Like you move really well.
He does.
Good lateral movement.
He's got good footwork.
Yeah. But look, I'm looking at the weight class. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, he's up there now at number 11, but he just beat Krylov, so he'll be at number 8 somewhere around there. You got Rakic, who he lost to. Did he lose to Rakic?
Rakic has lost his last couple.
Yeah, I know, but I'm simply saying because you got Rakic at 6, but you got Khalil Roundtree who's fighting coming up as well.
Yeah, fighting him.
Jamal Hill. The ones that I get concerned about, to me, is Carlos Olberg, obviously the champion Ankalaev. I get a little concerned about Alex Pereira because I don't think he'll take him down. I don't think he'll try to take him down. I think he'll stand with him, and that could be a no-no.
Yeah.
But it would be fun for us as fans to watch.
Absolutely.
Someone's getting knocked the fuck out. Because if he touches Alex, I think Alex goes to sleep too. It's kind of whoever gets to lose chin. Yeah. But I mean, that puts him right up there in that mix. Roundtree's got power for days. I mean, at any moment he can knock you out or you can knock him out. He's obviously very hard to finish. So there's a good chance someone else might go to sleep, but there's fights in there that I like to see. I think he beats Yuri. I think he beats Jamal Hill, and I think he beats Jan Blachowicz. Rakic is one of those guys. He's super explosive, still fast, still fun to watch. Coming off the 2 losses, but still fun to watch.
Yeah, still talented.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I enjoy watching him fight. People give him a hard time, but I enjoy watching him fight. I don't know why. Why do people give him a hard time, John?
Because he has a couple of losses when he was winning the fights.
That's what I love about MMA, though. You can have 2 or 3 losses.
That's right.
Yeah, we're still keeping this thing going. Oh shit!
All right, what about Dan Ige taking on Sean Woodson?
I won money. I won money on Dom. I won money on Ige. I lost money on Jan over Jandiroba. I mean, I made money, man. I made money on Ige. I thought, look, let's just skip the bullshit. Go right to the talk of.
Go ahead.
Horrible stoppage, John.
It was not a good stop.
Okay.
The reason it was not. First off, you've got to give time for the person to try to work themselves, because everything is about them working themselves to a better position or being able to stop the attack that's coming. Sean Woodson was getting up. He was working at getting up. And if he's getting up, that's telling you he's still thinking and he's still in the fight. Yeah. You got to let him go. And it was stopped at that point when he was getting up. So what I really feel sorry for in this is, obviously the referee doesn't want to, have an early stoppage, but people need to not get on Dan Ige for the stoppage. Dan Ige didn't do anything wrong. He put himself in a position to win that fight. He might have won that fight, if it had gone just a little bit more, because he could have landed a shot. It could have been all over. But Sean Woodson deserves, especially in this type of fight, because this is a big fight for him, you got to give him some rope. And when he's at least working to try to get to a better position, and he was trying to stand himself up, which is the right place for him to be in this, point of the fight where he's having problems. It was ended a little early. No,
I agree 100%. I agree. Look, I wanted Dan Ige to win. I picked Dan to win. I put money on Dan winning, so I put money on Dominic Reyes winning. So those 2 guys won me money. But I don't want to see the fight end that way. Dan had him in trouble. Dan was putting it on him. Dan
did everything right. Exactly. You cannot sit there and say anything about what Dan Ige did. Dan hit him with a beautiful shot that wobbled him, put him down. He was very calm. I love the way that Dan went about when he did hurt him. You looked, he didn't go rushing over and start throwing a bunch of, trash. He was looking to pick his shots, went to the body multiple times. It's like, and that's how you do it. You don't have to end it with the next shot. If you do, great. But just start building those steps that's going to get you to the top of that mountain. And that's what he was doing. Looked great doing it.
Do you see a world where you have Dan Ige fight Patricio Pitbull now?
It's not a bad matchup.
Yeah.
It would be fireworks. They both are going to stand there and throw bombs. They're both the same size, basically. I think this might be one fight that Dan Ige might be the bigger guy. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
He's always the smaller guy. And against Woodson, he looked ridiculously small.
Can you tell me why guys don't kick Sean Woodson's legs more?
A lot of it, I think, has to do with just that awkward style that he has. His legs are out there, and they're out there to be hit. And I thought Dan started off going after him.
He did.
And doing a good job, but he kind of got away from it when he got countered a couple times and he got hit. And that's what do you teach, Josh?
Yeah.
When a guy's throwing kicks at you, what do we teach?
Right? Check and counter.
Okay. Check it and counter, man. You make him pay.
Yeah.
And so it works, and it's taught for a reason. Is when you get hit by it, you go, okay, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
and you kind of get away from those kicks. But yeah, his legs are so thin. But you know what? The guy does not complain. He doesn't shudder. He doesn't, take any kind of odd steps. He just keeps on fighting. He's big. He reminds me of Anderson Silva with his hands, how he likes to move his hands in certain ways and as he's going. But it's he's a difficult problem for a lot of people, because he is fairly accurate with his shots. It's not that he throws real hard, but he does hit you with good shots that are accurate, and then he hits you again with another one, and it just adds up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's got power, and if he can touch you just enough to get you a little bit in trouble, he's very composed with his follow-up shots, as he showed tonight. Yeah. And then he rips the body to get you to lower your head a little bit more, and then he comes back over the top. He's a fantastic fighter. Had an opportunity to train with him a little bit and clinch work, all those things. He's a fantastic guy, a fantastic human being, and a great fighter. I love watching him fight, man. There's nothing I can say bad about Dan Ige.
That's because he always goes out there and fights.
Well, he's just a good person too, John. And it's hard not to root for guys like that after you've met him. You're like, dude, you're freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. So congratulations to him. And I want to thank you, Dan, for winning me some money. Thank you. Because, I mean, it was hard for me to pass up on that. I'm trying to remember what he was. I think he was like a plus 110. And then Dom was like plus 175, I think, or something like that. Dom Marie was. The fight I lost money on, though, was Xiaonan versus Verna Jandiroba. And
couldn't handle the grappling.
Just couldn't handle the grappling. I thought for sure she'd be able to stick and move and stay on the outside and da-da-da. And it wasn't there, man.
Yeah, I did not. I knew that if Jandiroba was able to get her on the ground, she would cause problems because she's really good there. But it was the question of, okay, how effective is she going to be at getting her to the ground?
Yeah.
And she was way more effective than I thought she would be. And I give her credit. She utilized what is her skill set. Her stand-up has gotten better. Mm-hmm. It's, still not, awe-inspiring, but it's effective, and it gets her to where she needs to be. And so, she's put herself in that position. She's the number one contender, and she deserves it because, Jan is a talented fighter. And I thought Jandiroba just made her look average. Yeah.
For me, it was the physical strength. It seemed like when she locked her hands around her body or around the legs, she was getting taken down. And there was nothing there. Takedown defense wasn't on par, which I expected a little bit more coming from, alpha male. I don't know. She right from the get, she seemed like she was uncomfortable out there, just waiting for the takedown. A lot of like, da, 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 like little tiny shots that weren't going to make her respect her at all.
Is that because you can hear her? Because she does that.
Yeah. Like Monica Seles, like, yeah. Yeah, to me, I thought Jandiroba looked great, man.
She did.
She was, fighting Jan, and then one eye was looking at Jan, the other eye was looking at Trump, and they were kind of getting after each other a little bit.
Trump wasn't even there yet.
No, Trump was probably like, "What the fuck are you looking at, chick?" Like, what?
Trump wasn't even there, man.
You eyeballing me? Literally eyeballing me? No, anyway, good stuff though. I thought she fought a fantastic fight. She's nasty on the ground. She's so nasty. I mean, should title shot next? You think?
Actually, yeah.
So dominant, you would think, right?
She's worked herself into that spot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. She just, yeah, pretty much. That's the fight to make.
I mean, she's got how many, five wins in a row now?
Something like that.
And against good, talented people. She beat, Marina Rodríguez, Lupi Godinez, Amanda Lemos. The armbar she did on Amanda Lemos is beautiful. So, I mean, she's beating the best people in that weight division. So,
yeah,
she deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's Tatiana Suarez just lost. Jan just lost to Verna. So, yeah, there's no one else in front of her. It's her. That's it. Yeah. That's the fight to make. So, physical strength, you can tell, like her back, everything. She's ripped, man. She's ripped. I'm a little jealous because I used to look good.
Used
to. John, the next fight, Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. I was going for the old head, man. I put a little money down on the old head just because. I mean, he was a plus 595, and Chase Hooper was a minus 770 or something like that.
Yeah,
I was like, just throw $20 down, see what happens.
Yeah, but this comes down to this is, Chase Hooper. It's funny because for how long were we sitting there saying like Chase Hooper is a young kid and he's not ready because physically he hasn't matured enough to have the physical strength to handle some of the things that are happening in the cage. He's talented as far as his technique and his ability to grapple and stuff, but he doesn't have that, just man strength. Well, now he's got it.
Yeah.
He's throwing shots that have some snap on him power. He hurt Jim even in the stand up. He's got fantastic grappling. He had Jim in trouble with a couple of, the truck position and things like that. That it was like you could see that Jim was like, all right, goddamn it. As long as I hold here, I know I'm good, but I don't know how to get out of this. I can't get my leg free. And so it was like, we've been in those positions and stuff, but it was clear who was in control of the fight. After the first, let's say 3 minutes, Chase started taking over in the fight. And throughout the rest of those, 2 rounds, he just looked really good. And he was dominant him and he deserved the decision. It was a really good fight for him.
Yeah, as you get older, it's just hard to keep the condition. Doesn't matter how good a shape you think you're in. Doesn't matter how many rounds you did in training. You physically just cannot push any harder. Your body needs more time to recover. There's nothing you can do, you know, and everyone.
And Jim was tired.
Absolutely.
He
looked great in that first, 3.5, 4 minutes.
Yep.
He looked great.
That's it.
Then you got Julian Erosa versus Darren Elkins.
Julian Erosa looked fantastic. For a guy fighting, and then again, this is that whole point you're going with, a guy like Darren Elkins. And Darren's never going to be that guy that anyone is going to say, oh, he's the best fighter in the world. But he's definitely one of the damn toughest.
Yeah.
He is just, tough as hell. He's 40 years of age now. But he's in that position where, you make a mistake, he's going to be all over you. Mm-hmm. And he's like Velcro. He sticks to you and he just grinds on you and beats you down to the point where he just, ends up diminishing your ability to be the fighter that walked into the cage, near the end of the fight. Yep. And I thought Julian Erosa did a fantastic job of being very relaxed, very calm, fighting him very smart. The up kick absolutely turned that fight into Julian Erosa's corner. And I don't think that Darren Elkins ever really recovered from it. No. He was always hurt by it. And then just other little shots just kept compounding it and making it, worse and worse. And, I saw some people who said that they thought that was a late stoppage. And I go, no, you got a guy like Darren Elkins. And I can point out how many fights have I seen that guy in trouble and he works his way out of it and gets a win. And so there's, when a guy has demonstrated that type of durability and everything, you got to give him that, little extra rope. Are you going to make it out of this? And eventually it was, clear. Okay. He's not. And the fight was stopped, tough situation, but I think Darren deserved the ability to try to get through it. And I thought overall it was a good stoppage.
I thought it was a good stoppage. I thought it actually should have been sooner. It wasn't too egregious. It wasn't too egregious,
No, exactly it.
But he was never the same after the up kick.
No.
And then he got a little rocked again, some more shots, fishing for the leg, all of those things.
Oh yeah.
But I guess it goes back to the point, to the question though, John, is just because we've seen them do this so many times, do we allow it to keep happening?
Well,
like in this situation,
again,
I felt like he could have been stopped probably, 10 strikes earlier.
So this is the same thing here. And here's your difference. This is a guy in Darren Elkins that's got, a record it's close to Michael Chandler's. He's probably got a couple more fights, a couple more losses. But Darren Elkins is in the position where he's not in the top 10 and he has no problem being in the preliminaries. And he doesn't, I don't care who you put me against you guys, anything, but there comes a point. He's 40 years of age. He's called the damage. That's because he does give damage, but he takes damage just like Michael Chandler. And there comes a point you've got to protect the guy from himself. And
well, tonight was that time though, to protect him. I don't think they did that. I don't think they did a good enough job.
Okay.
I'm saying that they should.
But as a promoter,
a little bit earlier.
As a promoter, it's time to say,
oh yeah,
it's time to start looking at okay, what's next?
Yeah, because look, I like Darren Elkins a lot, but he doesn't have the name value of a Tony Ferguson.
No,
So if you just told Tony, hey, then I feel like it's probably coming for Darren too. I don't like to see, like, he's aggressive, he's tough. He got in trouble because he was overly aggressive, like reckless, overly aggressive.
Sure.
I mean, after he got upkicked, he went back out and he came back in with his face. He led with his face, John.
I know.
I was like, okay.
But how many times have you seen him do it?
I know, but yeah, I mean, very unfortunate. But yeah, Erosa looked good. He did his part. He did everything he was supposed to do.
Erosa was
quite good.
I mean, if you want to say there was the only part where he might not have been in control of the fight was when he was on his back and then he took control of it with the upkick.
Yeah.
So he looked fantastic.
Michael Oleksiejczuk is how do you say his name?
Rodríguez Dumas.
A lot of people don't like Dumas. I guess he's had some personal problems in the wife beating category. Or girlfriend.
Oh, bad.
Yeah. People were posting a bunch of shit on Twitter going, man, this guy beats his girlfriend or his wife. And I was like, oh man, keep me out of that. Oh man. But bottom line was, I thought Oleksiejczuk looked good, but
he did.
Let's be honest, bad stoppage.
No.
I thought we were going to go 3 for 3.
Okay.
And you just totally fucked it all up.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. Go ahead. Talk.
I did not.
Talk.
Okay. Look, is it one that everyone's going to be happy with? No, but in the back when you were fighting and I would come back there, I would say the same thing to you every time. And that was about me stopping the fight on you. And I would say, Josh, I want you to know, if you end up, we'll say you get hurt in the fight. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you get hurt in the fight and you go down and your opponent comes after you and he starts throwing shots. If you want to just cover, to get yourself, in a position where you're ready to try to defend yourself, you can do that. But if you're just covering, you're going to hear me say, Josh, move, get out. When I say, Josh, move, get out, that's telling you, Josh, if you stay with what you're doing, I'm going to stop your fight. Do you understand that? And you would sit there and go, yeah, got it. I said, so what I'm looking for, Josh, is when I say, Josh, move, get out, doesn't mean that you have to do it that second, but I'm looking for you to either try to move the position, try to take away what your opponent is attacking you with. I don't care if you're successful. I care that you're trying. As long as you're trying, I'm going to let your fight go on. But if you stay with this, I'm going to cover up and just take shots periodically and not move. It's the same as you tapping out. You're asking me to stop the fight, and I'm going to stop your fight. So hold on. What did you see here? You saw Mark Goddard telling him, move. And what did he do? He stayed exactly with what he was doing.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why would I move when nothing's getting through?
It was getting through. John. It's not that. Hold on. You're not okay. You're not being honest if you're saying nothing got through.
The last
hold on
elbows that
what did
went
I just
through,
say?
He wasn't getting. There was no damage, John. He wasn't getting hit with it literally was covered up. Like one got through and then three got blocked.
You say there was no damage. How did he get to the position that he was in? How did he get to that position?
Really? No. Okay, look.
No. It's real simple.
If he got dropped,
all you got to do is answer the question, because that way it answers exactly. Was he hurt?
Well, obviously not enough. He was covering properly. He was defending himself properly.
How did he get there?
John, John.
John.
That's not the point.
It is the point. He got there because he got knocked on his ass.
That is not the point.
By a clubbing shot.
But the rules are what? As long as you're intelligently defending yourself.
He's not intelligently defending himself. If I tell him stop you can sit there and cover your head all you want.
If I'm covering and nothing, and even if nothing's getting through.
You're lying when you say that nothing is getting through.
I would like to go back and watch it.
I want you to go back and look at it.
Let's just
sit there and say that nothing got through is you just lied.
One gets through and then three gets blocked. One gets through and three gets blocked, and they're not even hard shots.
Very simple. Were shots getting through?
1, 2.
Were shots getting through? Just say yes or no.
Were they having an effect? Is that what you're looking for?
Were shots getting through?
No, that's not the argument.
It is the argument.
No, it's not, John.
Yes, because you're saying that this is good defense.
Okay,
because he's not getting hit. Where you're lying. He is getting hit. And when the referee tells him move,
you're wrong.
And he doesn't move, it's the same as you saying I need to get out. Just like I told you in the back. And the fact that you stayed with that position, when you stay with the position after I tell you to move, guess what? I already told you what was going to happen. So don't be upset when it happens.
It was the worst stoppage.
No, it wasn't. It was
John,
a good stoppage.
It's no different than if I'm on my feet. If I'm on my feet and I'm covering and I'm just doing this, it's no different. And you're hitting my hands and hitting my shot.
There is a difference. You didn't get knocked on your ass.
John, you let that.
He got knocked on his ass. That's why he was in that bad position.
Yeah, but the shots after that, he was intelligently defending himself.
No, he was not intelligently defending himself.
Okay, then so what is intelligently defending so we can get a definition on this?
Very simple. Like I said.
I was covering so you didn't hit me, and I was actually had my hands in front of my
Did you get hit? Did he get hit?
Shots are going to get through though, John. On the feet, I'm like on the same thing on the feet.
Did she get hit?
Should we have stopped the Sean Woodson fight way earlier because he got hit, was still covering. He was hurt. Like that's
they stopped it, and we said it was a little bit early because he was trying to get up.
So
the
why
difference
is this not
being
a little
stopped?
bit early?
No.
Why is this not a little bit early?
It's very simple. I told you, Sean Woodson was trying to move his position. He was trying to get up. That's why you let it go. When you are Dumas and you sit there when the referee tells you move and you don't, congratulations. You already were told in the back what was going to happen. Don't cry now.
Interjected himself for no reason. The guy was not hurt. He obviously was not hurt because as soon as
he's not hurt. That's why he was on his ass.
What are you doing? Why'd you stop the fight? What are you doing?
When he got knocked on his ass, he was hurt.
John, flash knockdowns happen all the time. We don't.
I didn't say they don't, but every time they happen, the guy's hurt.
Okay, so he's hurt, and he covered.
You're sitting there saying he's not,
but he covered his face, John, and was protecting himself. What else do you want from a fighter? You want him to move and open himself up.
If I have a fighter that is getting hit by shots, that tells me, all right, you need to change what you're doing because now you've just become a punching bag, and I tell you to move, get out, and you don't. That little meeting that I had in the back, and when I said, when I tell you that, this is what I expect of you. And when you don't do it, I'm going to stop your fight. Do you understand? And when you go, yup, it's all over.
Yeah, it's a bad stoppage. It was just bad. Like, I mean, honestly, like as soon as the ref stops it and you're like, what are you doing? That lets you know that nothing hurt.
How many times have you seen someone knocked out? Knocked the fuck out. And then get hit with another shot, and the referee is stopping the fight because they see him knocked out, and the second shot comes before they get there, and that fighter is going, what the fuck are you doing?
Horrible analogy because it wasn't anywhere near.
It wasn't a horrible analogy. I said, how many times have you seen it? All the time.
It's not the same.
It is the same.
No, this guy was literally defending himself on his back.
Is that what he was doing? He was doing a horrible job of defending himself.
We got to definitely check it out and see how many actually got through. There was no like, sure, he ended up on his butt. He got dropped, flash knockdown. Cool, whatever. Covered himself up. A shot gets through. 3 shots, 4 shots get blocked. A shot gets through. Just a bad stoppage. It was just exactly like.
So that your opinion is it's a bad stoppage.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Absolutely a bad stoppage.
Congratulations.
Jeez. Just admit it.
There's nothing to admit. When you're a fighter and you're told to move and you don't, guess what's going to happen?
So if I move, I put myself in more danger by moving.
Are you putting yourself in more danger by moving?
I thought it was intelligently defending ourselves was enough. It's not enough.
If you are intelligently defending yourself, but if you're not,
he wasn't intelligently defending himself.
No, because he's getting hit by shots and he's not changing it when you're saying, "Hey, you're getting hit by elbows, move." And he sits there and he stays there.
John, they were not hard shots.
Then he tells him again, move.
Jeez, man.
And then he stays there. And then he tells him again. And then he stops his fight. No, you asked for it to be stopped.
So Goddard inserted himself into the fight, made sure that he was the dictator.
I'm sure that you thought Goddard did a bad job in Tulio versus Gore too.
Sole sobriety or whatever.
I guess that was a bad stoppage in your opinion too.
Sole sobriety, what is it called?
Sole arbiter.
There you go. That guy. That's exactly what Mark was being tonight. He wanted to interject himself into deciding the fight. Horrible. All right. Next fight. Go ahead.
Mitch Raposo versus Sumadarji.
Mudaerji, right?
Sumadarji. I can't even say it.
Sumadarji. It's all one. It's two words, but I think it's
Sumadarji.
They say it all in one word.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm going to just say it as simple as I can. Mitch Raposo can be a hell of a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He's got everything. He's obviously a little short in the reach and the size compared to Sumadarji, but his wrestling, he's fast. His stand-up is getting better. He's got to understand this is a fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a wrestling match. And he lost it because he was wrestling at times when he should have been fighting. It's not about getting the takedown. It's about, if it's a takedown that slams him, great. But if it's just a simple takedown and he slides to the ground, then what do you do with it? Show me some damage. And being a blanket is not damage. That's just a waste of time. You've got to do stuff that either shows you're either moving positions to get to a point where you can do damage, moving positions so you get to a point and look for submissions. That's what they're looking for. And you know, the sport has changed from what it was long ago, where just wrestling enough will get you a win. It's not. And I thought the judges were right in the fact that Sumadarji won.
Yeah, it was one of those fights where I thought Raposo won, it was. I understand where you're coming from though. So when I heard the decision, I was like, all right, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the fight wasn't really that great of a fight. I expected it to be a better fight. I thought Mudaerji was going to be able to get more done on the feet. And when he did get away, he just ended up right back on the ground. But I thought the person that was pushing the pace, the person that was getting the takedowns, whether he was doing damage or not, he was basically taking the kid wherever he wanted to win the fight.
I thought Raposo looked pretty good in the first round.
Yeah.
I thought I gave him the first round. He lost the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third round, it was, you're just wrestling.
I know, but if I'm controlling where the fight goes.
Control. How many times did you see Sumadarji? Because it really didn't end up on the ground that long. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of up and down.
In the third round.
Oh.
Okay. So you're looking at Sumadarji is landing elbows and he's landing punches and stuff while Mitch is trying to wrestle.
Yeah.
And get him back down. And that's how he lost the fight.
Yeah.
In the fact that he's wrestling while Sumadarji is punching and fighting.
Yeah. But this next fight was probably, I thought to me was probably the best fight of the night. This was
what
awesome.
a fight. What a fight.
This was one of the best. Marco Tulio versus Trishan Gore.
Yeah.
Man,
Tulio versus Gore was fantastic.
It was from the beginning bell all the way to the end. Fantastic fight. Fantastic fight.
I remember watching Tulio in his first UFC fight. And, you know, I was like, okay, you know, he fought Ihor Pretoria, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And it was, he ended it pretty fast. You know, it was first round, I want to say probably halfway or so. And I didn't, you know, take much from it. But I'll tell you what, this fight, I'm just, when, you know, in watching him as the fight started, he started throwing punches. Josh, they were hard.
Yeah.
He was landing some hard ass, because they were talking about, oh, he's got great punching power. No, he does. The dude hits like a truck. And Trishan Gore did a great job throughout a lot of it of taking some big shots, trying to deliver things back. And he did deliver, you know, some good shots back. This was back and forth. Both guys, you know, really going after it at times. And, you know, Tulio started to take the fight over after the first round. But, man, what a fight by both. And, you know, you got to give Gore credit, man. Tough as hell. He took a lot of damage in that fight.
Yeah, Gore was, but he also rocked Tulio as well a couple times. I thought it was a fantastic fight, John. They got after each other. They landed some hard shots. Gore just was on the other end of it all. But I mean, if you guys missed that prelim fight, go into your ESPN Plus, go back and watch that fight. It was a great fight. Slobber knocker is what most people would call it. But I thought it was a fantastic fight. All right, go ahead. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up our UFC talk, UFC 314 talk. And here's a word from our sponsors. I got some good news, ladies and gentlemen.
Our podcast, Weighing In, was the first podcast to ever partner with OnlyFans,
Bringing you guys the best content we possibly can in the combat sports industry. We are making some leeway on bringing sports to the OnlyFans platform,
where top-tier, world-class athletes can connect with their fans. We're talking about combat sports athletes like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, Chris Cyborg,
Luke Rockhold,
AJ McKee.
You've also got pro surfers like Billy Kemper. Some chilling news.
I want you to head on over to the Weighing In OnlyFans channel.
More connection with our fans on our OnlyFans channel.
Only available on OnlyFans.
All right, guys, we're back. But hey, before we move on, I want you guys to know we're going to talk a little bit about the PFL, and we're going to just comb over some of the fights that we thought were good. And obviously, we got to give a lot of love to this guy right here, because to me, Jake Hadley tonight, I had probably the performance of the night against Matisse.
Last night.
Huh?
Yeah, last night.
Oh, last night. Sorry, last night. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked, dude. Jake Hadley against Matos was the best fight on the card. They just went after it. Jake Hadley looked good, and then he ends up with the submission of the Scottish Twister, which is from Stevie Ray. And you could see him sitting on it, waiting. He's waiting for Mateus Matos to turn so he can, lock it in. And finally, Matos, gets that feeling like, oh, I can turn, and he does, and falls right into it. Beautiful submission win that was in the third round. But the first two rounds, they were knocking the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Some really good stuff. I really enjoy it. It's too bad that Jake Hadley was let go by the UFC, because, he was at a 125 there. Now he's at 135. But he's the one, in the 135-pound weight class you look at, you go, he's a talented fighter. He's fun to watch. I
would agree. You know what's fun? The Conor Watanabe and Jenna Bishop fight was kind of a fun fight as well.
Yeah, Jenna Bishop went after it with strikes.
Yeah, I didn't look. 30-27, Jenna Bishop got dropped.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, how did you come over 30-27? And two judges had it 30-27 for Jenna Bishop. Yeah. So, I mean, I had Watanabe actually winning the fight, but I didn't care. It went the other way. It was a good fight. I just didn't see 30-27 on two judges' cards, especially after Jenna Bishop got dropped.
Yeah.
Head on up. Juliana Velasquez ended up getting submitted, man. That girl, Shaklova, she was very good. Impressive. Very impressive.
Both of them came out of Bellator.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaklova Shaklova, when we first saw her, she was a 145-pounder.
Yeah.
Now she's fighting at 125. It's a 20-pound drop, and she looks good there. I mean, she
Josh.
And I don't mean that way. She looks
yeah.
She was carrying extra weight at 145.
Little Mackenzie Dern going on there.
Yeah. Little extra weight there, but she fantastic rear naked choke. Took her time, kept working at it, eventually sunk it in. Mm-hmm. That was a big win for her.
Yeah. The Mando Gutierrez and Francisco Nuzzi fight.
Yep.
It was a good little scrap back and forth for that 4 minutes.
Yeah.
They getting after it.
Gutierrez looked really good. Nuzzi looked like he was in trouble a lot more than I thought, but he landed a couple of good shots on Gutierrez that he was able to withstand. But I loved Gutierrez's just mindset and the way he was fighting.
Yeah.
He was going for it, and when he had the ability to get the submission, he just worked for it. Kept on being kind of nasty and grinding on the nose and grinding on the jawline and everything, and finally sinking it in. Really nice job.
Yeah, Liz Carmouche looked great. TKO finish in the first round. Body shots. Basically, she landed the body shot, and it was downhill after that.
Oh, fast.
Yeah.
And look at 40 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
Liz Carmouche is still put together. She's tough as hell. She's a handful, and she looked great in that one. And I loved how she was digging to the body, trying to get, and you could see the face of Alara Jawani. It was like, she was dying. So great win by Liz.
And then the main event was Marcelo Alves versus Leandro Higo. This shocked me, man. It shocked me. I expected more out of Leandro Higo. I was expecting him to be a little bit more aggressive on the takedowns, be able to set up his takedowns. No such thing whatsoever, John.
No, not at all. But it's one of those that you look at with Alves. Tough fighter. He's out of the same camp as Charles Oliveira and them with, shoot box and everything. But the big difference is, one's 36, almost 37 years of age, one's 25.
Yeah.
And, let's be honest, Alves was brought in last minute. Seen him fight multiple times before. He's always been, a guy on the feet. He'll go after it. He's tough as hell with that. And when Higo couldn't get him down or hold him down at any point, he was in trouble. He was really in trouble as far as he had nowhere to go, and he didn't look good with his stand up.
Yeah,
he looked slow.
I agree. No, he couldn't get deep enough on the takedowns. He couldn't even get to the legs. Yeah. I was great in sprawling and brawling and letting the hands go. He was so much faster than Higo on the feet. Something happened, I think, to Alves' knee in the third round or second round. Towards the end of the second round, it looked like he got kicked in the knee. And after that, he was kind of hurting a little bit towards the end of the second round into the third. But he still was able to stuff takedowns, let things go, like his hands go. He was a very aggressive fighter. I loved watching him fight, actually. It's the first time I've seen him fight.
He fought in Bellator.
Yeah. Don't remember. John, you got to remember, though, John, I didn't call, for that last couple of years, I was at the desk. So I only really talked about our main event fighters. I didn't talk about the whole card. That's true. When I was working the desk and doing the European series, I was doing all the fights. So I was researching we had 22 fights on those cards. So I had 44 fighters I had to research. Yeah. That was so much fun. All right, hey guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. And look, I like to give everyone a hard time about you guys bagging on me because I read the comments. But at the end of the day, keep it lighthearted, man. I like having fun. I'll reply back to you guys. And just remember, I'm poking fun at you guys, just like you like to poke fun at me. So don't take it too personally, okay? It's not personal at all. It's just for fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show, and we'll go from there, man. John, take us away.
Well, hold on. We got a couple things we need to talk about real quick.
Okay.
Because we have the GFL has gone bye-bye as far as it's the two shows. We had talked about the GFL, and I said, look, they got money problems, and canceled their two shows in California. They had shows back to back. I want to say 24th, 25th of May, something like that. And they had some big names on that. And, again, the whole reason for us talking about it is, hey, these fighters are training for this fight, and it's not looking like it's going to happen. So then they cancel those two shows, and he says, the people that were the money people, investors didn't put their money in. And then they came up with this whole thing of, trying to make it where, the fighters will fight, for free, as being part of the whole, show where, as soon as the show makes, the money back, whatever it's going to put into it, then the fighters will get paid. And I'm like, have these people lost their minds? I don't know if what you had happen throughout your career with, a lot of promoters, but I had to deal with so many different ones, and I got screwed by people. You would go and work and you never got paid, it got to the point where I wouldn't get on a plane until I had, if it was far away, I wouldn't get on a plane until I had half of it in the bank account already. It was like, nope, not doing it. I have people, how do I know you're going to show up? Well, I've never missed one yet. So I don't think I'm going to start with yours, but it's like, to sit there and have, how many shady promoters have you seen throughout your life, and have them actually put it out there. Well, we want, to become partners with the fighters, and you'll fight for free. Any fighter that does it, I'm telling you right now, you've lost your mind. Yeah. No, bye GFL.
Unfortunately, I was part of that era that came up that was fighting in fairgrounds and back, gyms, in the back of gyms and shit, like in parking lots and all this stuff. And so literally, I just had a manager.
That's different. That's when you weren't getting paid.
No, we were getting paid, but it really came down to when Bob Cook and I would show up to events, Bob would walk and he'd look and see, because I was normally either the middle of the main card or the main event or the co-main event. So he would wait until the main card started. And then if he'd take a look around and see how many people were in the stands, and he'd say, okay, there's enough people here for me to get paid. All right, cool. We'll let it slide. As soon as he looked around and saw there wasn't enough, he was like, okay, how are we making our money? He'd walk over to the register and he would just take the show money right out of the register. He'd be like, nope, I'm taking this. And after he wins, then we'll take the rest. And they were like, what are you doing? You can't do this. He's like, what are you going to do? like, you know, promoters back then, they were fucking Joe Blows. They weren't fighters. They were maybe people that owned a stake in a gym, or they were the business guy on the side of a gym, but they didn't actually own, like they didn't train, or they did a little bit of training. They weren't going to fucking fight Bob Cook, who'd fought in the UFC. They weren't going to fuck, like they wouldn't fuck around with Frank Shamrock being there, Bob Cook being there, like, and all of our crew that was all on the card.
Yeah.
Like it just was not something that you don't do. So we just walk in and take half our money right out of the register. Bob would go open register, take the cash. Okay, here's the 1,500 that we're taking. We'll get the other 1,500 when you know, when the fight's over. And, you know, that's how it works. Well, yeah, if you're a fighter basically waiting to take shares and to be part owner of an organization, good luck, dude.
Yeah, well, he's pitching fighters on a non-profit event. He's calling it a revenue share, but it's a profit share. The event has to break even before distributions are made to the fighters. He's projecting that the event revenue of $5 million for one event. $5 million he's going to get. Dude.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I hope he does. Here's the problem though, John. He's already promised Uriah Faber $1 million. There's $1 million gone. So dude, all the other fighters after the 5 million's met, all the other fighters, what are they going to get paid? You're going to have more than 4 fights, right?
It's like I said, it's good. It's the Gone Forever League.
Yeah, Gone Forever. Is there anything else you want to chat about?
No, we're good.
No, that's good. We've got more to talk about on this whole situation. I want to, you know, I want to do more research into it before we talk about some stuff going on with the PFL, Ariel Helwani, and other people that are involved. But
there was some good stuff back in.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some more research on it though before I say too much. Hey guys, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys enjoyed UFC 314. Fantastic card. I thought it was a wonderful night of fights, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. John, take us away, bud.
Everyone out there.
Whoa. I want to tell everyone, if you want to check out some more sports content, go over to BetUSTV.com. We got the NBA playoffs coming up. We always got UFC fights going on. Go check it out. Also, stay salty, drink Element. Click the link in our bio. You may get a little gift with your order, maybe some samples, maybe a t-shirt. Who knows? Maybe solid gold. Probably not. But it will be awesome. Do it. Buy it.
Also, if you want to prove Josh wrong and be able to write tweets back to him and have knowledge about what you're saying, the June 20th to the 22nd, I got a course in Las Vegas, Extreme Couture. Go to MMAreferee.com. Check it out. And for everyone out there, thanks for checking us out. We'll see you.